Welcome to the Why We Started podcast, the show that gives business owners a platform to share the real story behind their brand. I'm your host, Vanessa Grace, and each week we dive into the why behind the business. Whether it started from a passion, a problem, or a random what-if moment, this is where we explore what makes your business different from anyone else in your industry. Because behind every business, there's a story worth sharing. Welcome back to the Why We Started podcast. Today's guest is Janelle Marra. She is someone who has this energy that's calm and grounded and completely magnetic. She runs a business called Janelle Marra Healing, which she does a practice of a powerful energy modality called Siwa Murti, along with another type of business, which is called SoulSway, and she will dive into her story. So thank you so much for being here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
So Janelle and I are actually really good friends, so it's so wonderful seeing her do her thing. And so Janelle, since I know who you are, but everyone else doesn't know who you are, so please give me like a little introduction of yourself and take us through what is Janelle Marra Healing.
That's great question. So I am an embodiment teacher and an energy healing practitioner. And like you said, I have a business, Janelle Marra Healing, in which I focus on energy healing, specifically a practice called Siwa Murti, which is little known in the United States right now. It's a Balinese practice, and I'm one of only a handful of practitioners in the United States. So it's a really just interesting and exciting moment in time to be pioneering this. And I also am the co-founder of an embodiment practice called SoulSway, which merges mindfulness, movement, meditation, all into one feel great in your body experience. And if I had to give a personal mission statement for why I do the things that I do, is I want to help people feel great in their bodies. Like, our bodies are how we move through the world. So let's feel as great as we can within them.
So you mentioned that obviously your practice is something called Siwa Murti. And can you break that down? Because obviously, like you said, it's a very small community of people who know what that is. So what exactly is Siwa Murti?
So it is, like I said, an energy healing modality that comes from Bali. And I was fortunate enough to have stumbled upon it quite by accident. And when I did, I was actually able to join the first group of Americans that were going to Bali to study with the master teacher and originator there. And when this opportunity presented itself, I surely wasn't in a space where I said, yeah, I've got to learn something new. I had 2 young kids. My second was only 6 months old. It just wasn't the time and place for me in my life to be learning something new. But the call and the pull to learn it was so undeniable that I had to see what it was all about. And I know that wasn't really your question. You asked what it is.
It's okay.
But honestly, it's very difficult to answer. For those that are familiar with the world of energy healing, essentially I serve as a conduit for the energy. I serve as a channel. So I am engaged in a practice that's rooted in the Balinese framework, and it enables me to channel this healing energy.
So what was you talked about how it kind of came out of nowhere of experiencing Siwa Murti. You didn't know about it until it just came out. So what was your first experience like? What actually came to you that you're like, oh, I need to go check out Siwa Murti?
Yeah, in fact, it wasn't the healing experience I had that made me feel pulled so strongly. It was actually, and not that wasn't powerful as well, but it was that knowing. It was this, there's no better way to put it other than I received a divine message. It truly was as if a voice said to me, you're going to learn this. And I said back to that voice, well, I don't know what it is, and I'm tired and not in the mood. So no, thank you. Pass it on to the next person or whatever. That's not actually the conversation I had. Point being is that I didn't have any framework for it to land on. It was just, I knew I had to learn it, even though I didn't know anything about it and had yet to have a really direct experience.
That's really cool. So you mentioned that obviously that Siwa Murti is a type of energy healing. Usually in the bodywork practice, people kind of know about the word of Reiki. So what do you feel like is it similar to that? Is it completely different? How do you feel?
Yeah, it's very similar in the sense that the process by which it's channeled is similar, in that, like a Reiki practitioner, I serve as a conduit for the energy. What I find remarkable about Siwa Murti is how targeted it is for a specific issue. So, for example, I've had many Reiki sessions, and I actually was attuned to Reiki maybe, 20 years ago. But I only used it in my own personal practice for myself. I wasn't looking to go through all the levels and start offering it to others. It was something I did for my own healing. But I have received Reiki healings from many, and I always find them quite powerful and do a beautiful job of giving this overall balancing and reset. I always feel super calm and peaceful and at home with myself following a Reiki session. But what Siwa Murti is so remarkable in doing is, say someone can't lift their arm past 90 degrees, then give me 2 or 3 minutes and it's quite likely that they're lifting their arm above their head. And the effects are so immediate and so quantifiable. Not that it doesn't work beyond the things on the physical level, but those things that are quantifiable, such as how high you can lift your arm, or the degree of pain in your neck, or how limited your mobility is in your spine, whatever it may be, things that are quantifiable. It's really profound to see the shifts in the moment.
That's really cool. So obviously this is kind of a service that you perform to your client, right?
Yes.
So is this something that like you would be doing virtually or have to be in person? How does the session kind of work?
Great question. Both. So I can work in person, of course. And in that case, I am making use of pressure points to test for energetic blocks throughout the entire body. So I'm working the system first to, much like in acupuncture, where the needles are placed in certain points to open that energy channel and allow the chi or life force energy, whatever name you want to give it, to run most efficiently so the body can find balance and homeostasis and healing. So similar to that, I'm making use of pressure points. I'm not using needles, however. I'm simply using my breath and sending the energy through my hands and my eyes and my breath. And then I target the specific area of concern. Typically, someone comes for a specific reason, and it can be anything from headaches to depression to an injury that didn't heal properly to a sprained wrist. It could be anything. And then I also work remotely, so I can work via video calls and photographs. And in that case, I'm not actually using pressure points on the body because I don't have the body in front of me, but rather I'm using the energy to get curious about and find those energy blocks and do, this essentially the same thing, but via a screen or a picture.
That's really cool. It's kind of really impressive that you were able to do it literally to anyone, anywhere.
It's quite incredible. And I have to say that was a gift that the pandemic brought for me in my practice, because I was very new in my practice when the pandemic hit. I had just signed on to work in a wellness space. I was living in California at the time. And it was like, I was about to hang my shingle, right? And then the whole world shut down. And I said, I've learned this thing. I've gone to Bali. I had gone to Bali twice, 2 years consecutively at that point. And I was ready to really dive into offering this in a wider way. And I couldn't have my hands on bodies nor be in the same space, and definitely wasn't going to be going at people. Right? I do this popping sound when I do the work. So anyways, I learned real quickly how to do it remotely. I knew it was possible. It was more about my own doubt, really. Even I was saying, and I was a practitioner, but saying oh, come on. Let me have you in real life so I can really show you. But it took the pandemic to really build my confidence and trust in it being equally effective as a remote modality.
That's really powerful. Do you feel like that the people that you see, or just anyone that wanted to get this kind of service, that they have to be in the right mindset to receive it, or does it work like that?
That's a really good question. I usually tell people you don't have to believe me that it works or believe in it or anything. You just have to be open to give it a shot. There's a difference between being a skeptic and being totally closed off. So it depends where they are on that spectrum. I love nothing more than having a skeptic go, oh my gosh, what just happened? What just happened? And it happens all the time. So I'm not afraid of a skeptic by any means. But there are some cases in which the person, it's not that they're skeptical, but they are resistant. And that can be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. Because I mean, just with like any kind of energy healing, I feel like there's a lot of misbelief, but also like just curiosity that comes around with it. So with your sessions though, like how long is a session? How often would someone want to get it done? Especially if it's a specific part of your body or if it can change, or how does it work?
Yeah, great question. The session length really depends on what we're working on. Every body is very unique. And also sometimes, or actually oftentimes, I work on people in what would be a spot treatment form. Like I'm just working on one thing. Like say they're having a shoulder issue or whatever. I always use shoulder as my example. I don't know why, but let's say they're having a shoulder issue. Then I might just go in and work on the shoulder for 5 minutes. And that's that. I would consider that a spot treatment. And often a spot treatment can be like remarkably effective in a short amount of time. I'm usually doing those when I'm in group settings, because I will do like complimentary events where people can come and experience this work and receive a spot healing. So those can be really quick and really effective. I don't want to say the trouble with a spot healing, because it's not the trouble with, but it's just the fact of the body is interconnected. So you can't like just isolate the shoulder. So if that shoulder issue, for example, had affected the hip, and the hip had affected the knee, and the knee had affected the ankle, whatever it is, there just might be more to unravel, which is why I always encourage somebody, even when having a spot healing, to also do the full body so that we can really make sure the whole system is supportive of that healing that's happening. Yeah, and as far as how often someone needs to come back, I mean, it's not great as a business model, but often they don't need to come back, okay? They'll come back for a new issue, but oftentimes things are resolved within one session. And that's not everything. We're talking about like the very quantifiable surface level things can be dealt with very quickly. If we're talking about like chronic depression or anxiety or there's all kinds of things that might take a little bit longer to unravel because the puzzle is a little more intricate. But that said, I don't have a specific protocol because it's so unique per person.
That makes sense. I totally understand that. What came to mind while you were talking though was you talk about how like everything's like a spot treatment. Does it have to be physical pain that they're having? Could it be like a mindset kind of thing too, or just like physical bodiness touching? I don't know that.
Absolutely. It's a great question. And people often ask. So when someone comes to me and they're like, can you help me with my feeling of overwhelm? Let's say, yes, I can. And how can I open that person's mind to the fact that this is possible? And oftentimes that's something that is more quantifiable in the moment. So I really like being able to address something on the physical level, because that shift that happens can open up someone's mind that, oh my gosh, if my wrist feels better immediately, then this could be unraveling like old stories, old patterns, old traumas, old wounds, generational situations, ancestral. I mean, we can go back and back and back. Things show up in the body in all kinds of ways. So that's an indirect way of saying, yes, this works on emotional, psychological, spiritual, ancestral, all the levels. It's just most exciting for the person, especially for the skeptic, for them to have something quantifiable addressed first.
That's cool. I mean, obviously, I've never asked you that question before, so I was just like, oh, I wonder if they can work on any parts of your body. So that's really cool.
And it's all tied together, of course.
True.
Right?
Very true. Yes.
Yes.
Your body
And
is
we can't
3D.
That's
what I would say. Your body's 3D, so it comes from any part of your body that can help with it. So that's really cool. And obviously, your energy is within you. So, or around you. So it's kind of manipulating it around. Do you feel like that, like you're more of like a practitioner when it comes to Siwa Murti, or are you also like teaching it to others to do this kind of practice?
I am so glad you asked, because yes, I am also a teacher. in this work. And I was designated by the master teacher in Bali as a lead teacher back in, I guess it was in 2020 that I and two others were given that position. And so myself and my co-teachers have been teaching the foundational level of Siwa Murti for those that are wanting to harness this, whether it be because they're looking to, say, open a practice or for spiritual and personal growth. It's really abundant in that way as well. So my co-teachers and I, yes, like I said, we each teach the foundational elements, and then we collectively facilitate a training in Bali once a year. So
Wow.
now I continue to go, not only for my own learning, but also taking students who desire to have that direct initiation and connection with the originator and teacher and Bali culture and spirit.
That's really powerful. That's awesome. So would you say that you said that this kind of class would be good for people that want to practice it, but also just be able to do it? Can you do it on yourself?
Absolutely. Yes. So some people do. They come into it for self-healing purposes to actually use the modality to heal certain things going on with themselves. And then also people learn it who are just coming from a seeking spirit, saying, ooh, I wonder what else is out there. Ooh, I wonder what else is possible. I'm curious about this particular sacred wisdom. And or they're drawn to Bali. There's all kinds of reasons that people come to it. And, you know, as far as my job as a teacher, like I am here to support wherever somebody wants to go with it, whether they're looking to open a business or whether they're looking to create a really strong daily practice, or whether they're looking to do self-healings, or they're looking to be of service to their family and friends and pets and community.
That's really cool. Oh, I love that. I love that for you. I'm going to kind of change gears a little bit, but because obviously we've been going so ham about talking about Siwa Murti, which is literally the main part of your business, absolutely. But you do have another business called SoulSway, and I would love just to take some time for you to kind of explain a little bit more about what SoulSway is and how that is completely different to Siwa Murti.
Yeah, they are two different paths, yes. But in my mind, the end goal is the same. Like I think I said up front, to help people feel great in their bodies. And because I think I said this up front as well, like we move through the world within our bodies. So all of this mindset work and spiritual work and personal growth work and, you know, all of that has to land in your body. Otherwise you don't reap the reward. You don't have the experience of it. Anyway, that isn't I kind of went off on a tangent there, but to tell you just...
It's all connected. It's all connected. You're good. But
it is all connected for sure. I'll just back it up a little bit that I've only lived locally here in the Jacksonville area for about 3 years. So I've been living in California and Los Angeles for most of my adult life. And I, in my early 20s, started working for a female embodiment and empowerment company. And that is really what laid the foundation for me as far as tapping into the wisdom of the body. Like, wow, bodies are so amazing and powerful and hold so much potential and energy. So that world then introduced me to birth work. So I started working as a birth doula as well. And this was before I had my own children and after I had my own children. But I worked as a birth doula for about 10 years, really looking to help, you know, women and families have an embodied, powered experience during this like uber transformational and vulnerable period, you know, of birth. Birth is intense. No matter how it comes about, birth is intense. Anywho, I digress. But I was still working with this female embodiment company. Long story short, there was a separation of values that occurred. Gosh, I think I left that company. I can't track the years right now, but I left the company due to a separation of values. And after, you know, a couple of years following that, it was like another woman that I knew from that world, we kind of put our heads together and said, what can we build? What can we build? And that is how SoulSway was started to birth. It was, we really wanted to create a movement practice that stripped away any elements of performance, perfection, judgment, any influence from external gaze. You know, we are so accustomed when it comes to what would maybe fall in the world of fitness or yoga or working out or going for a jog, you know, whatever it is, where it's supposed to be a certain way, look a certain way, meet a certain goal. And we wanted to kind of obliterate that and say, no, let's really take the time to investigate, like, how does my body feel in movement? What does my body need? Getting really curious about how to move in a way that fully serves. So that was kind of a roundabout way of giving the genesis of SoulSway. What else can I answer about it?
No, honestly, I had got the wonderful experience of actually experiencing SoulSway, and I told this to Janelle before, but obviously being on this podcast, you guys need to hear it too. But it is very empowering to hear how she is when she does SoulSway, because we're so programmed to be in certain classes where you have to be the exact like position they ask you to do, or you have to look a certain way. But like what I've experienced being in SoulSway, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's more about like letting loose of the I have to's, and more of just like I get to really kind of feel my body, feel how everything is. So like you saying embodying practice, like it's such a, like, this is like the cookie cutter word, but when you're actually experiencing it, I feel like it's more of like you're really letting like your body just feel the song, feel the movement, just let yourself like really get into it. Make the funny motions and just don't care what other people kind of are feeling. That's what I feel like when you're in the experience doing SoulSway, and the words that like Janelle is like saying, and like just letting people really like just embrace it. It's so powerful to watch and experience itself.
Wow. Thank you for saying that. I mean, that is the experience I wish for everyone in a SoulSway class or in any movement they're doing. You know, my co-founder and I, we always say this isn't to replace other practices. Like, I love Pilates. I love spin. I love lifting weights. I don't love lifting weights, but I lift weights because I'm at a certain age. I need to lift some weights.
Right.
But I do all the things. But coming back to my embodiment practice teaches me how to be in my body in a way during all those other practices that really serves. So when I am in a grueling weightlifting class, let's say, it isn't bullying my body through yet another rep. It is being in a state of awe and fascination by the power that my body has. And also being attuned to, I'm done now. I need to put the weight down rather than let me do one more and hurt myself. So this is about enhancing other practices rather than replacing other practices. Yeah, I love what you were saying. It just reminded, because our body, just like our mind, our mind gets stuck in patterns, right? So does our body. And again, the body is the way we experience the world. So if we can create something new within our body, how it moves, how it feels, what we notice, what we're attuned to, we actually get to broaden how we see the world, think about the world, move through the world, feel the world, engage with the world, all of that. Yeah, don't bypass the body on your healing journey, is what I want to say. Remember your body, you live in one.
Absolutely. Honestly, as you're speaking to, like, I feel like with SoulSway being such a like intuing is being something that you can help get in tune in with your body. I feel that it also almost maybe helps you kind of get into the mindset to accept like Siwa Murti as well, because you're so aware of your surroundings, what your body's feeling, that you could feel like, okay, now I have this like kind of pain, that kind of energy would benefit from that. Like, would you say that? Yeah.
What just came to mind, I don't know if I'm actually directly addressing your comment or question, but I'm thinking about like how exciting it is for me also as a Siwa Murti practitioner, like when I'm working on someone and they feel something moving through their body that they've not felt before. I love that. When they're like, oh, wow, I just felt a rush of cool air coming through my arm. Whoa, what was that? So the Siwa Murti does serve to attune someone to their body. And I just thumbs up to myself. I didn't mean to, but yeah,
I love the
great
bubble.
comment.
Can I do that too? No, I don't know.
Anywho, once again, I digress, but that's what popped in my mind when you made that comment. I love the way that even the way you talked about SoulSway and the way that, even the way our conversation has gone. I love that because I actually think our conversation is embodying what SoulSway does offer. It is an enlivening experience. Like it reminds you of your vitality and your power and your life force. Your body's wisdom. So anyway, I just love that the conversation got animated.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's so funny how like I'll have things I want to ask you, but then like we kind of just go off track. So I'm like, she said this thing. I want to know about this. So it's kind of cool like how it's been changing around. I got the lovely experience because so Janelle's doing something a little bit different with the podcast. Obviously she gets to be on the podcast, talk about her business, but obviously like I wanted to invest in helping her with my business, which is creating a business highlight reel to really share exactly what she does in a storytelling kind of atmosphere. So that being said, I got the experience to go to her house and film content to learn more about Siwa Murti. I also went to an event to show behind the scenes in the empowerment of SoulSway as well. So I got a combined feeling of every part of your business. So what made you want to invest in the like be able to have some social media help for this kind of podcast?
Well, I mean, I could use all the social media help I can get, that's for sure. You know this about me, Vanessa. But no, in all seriousness, because what I do is so energetic in both senses, Siwa Murti and SoulSway. It is really difficult to talk about what it is. And it's actually very difficult to capture even film wise. Surely I'm not going to be able to do it while I'm doing the thing. It's difficult to capture that energy. And I just know you and the way that you operate. I knew like you being able to get in there and capture it would be totally brilliant because I knew you would be able to be embodied in it and holding that space of behind the scenesing it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I get it, but that's because that's what I do. Is I love just being able to like tell the story. That's why I loved being able to experience SoulSway, watch it happen, watch other people experience it. And then obviously like I experienced Siwa Murti myself, but I've also experienced watching other people get Siwa Murti. And it's like, honestly, if you just watch Janelle do Siwa Murti, you're gonna be like, she's making the craziest faces ever. But it is like what it's happening is actually super beneficial for your body. So
yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point as well, like why it's difficult for me without that, like maybe not so gentle nudge for, to capture things on film is because I do feel vulnerable. And I actually with you can totally trust that you're holding the space in a way that is going to serve like everybody involved. So yeah, I was so grateful to be able to have you, not only here in my like personal space and witnessing a bit of my personal practice because Siwa Murti isn't just a healing, I mean, as if that's not enough, but it isn't only a healing modality. It's also a daily spiritual practice that I'm engaged in. So it feels very sacred to me and very personal. So anyways, thank you for holding that space for me.
I feel like that's a big part of the business that people maybe not see, that Siwa Murti is very intimate. Obviously, like recording something, any kind of service that is a one-on-one session that is normally like a vulnerable space. You don't necessarily want someone to film you at all times because you'd want to like create that safety, that connection with your client, that they can be free to tell you whatever that is bugging them,
Mm-hmm.
So it's
good to just kind of show it to just so others can see it instead of just like, what are you talking about? Versus actually like visually seeing it or seeing others experience it and hear from their stories. But I felt very honored that I was able to experience it because it is just so deep. Like there's just so much that goes on to it. But I would have never came across this unless I knew you.
Yeah. So I'm working on that so more people can come across it because I mean, in both practices, they're not widely known. I mean, like I said, I'm one of, though we've trained many more than a handful of practitioners, like active practitioners, there's only a few handfuls. And I'm one of 3 teachers in the United States. So it is small, but growing. And it's just a really exciting place to be with that. And then as far as SoulSway is concerned, we launched as a virtual studio, which we are a virtual studio. You can access classes online globally anytime, but being able to bring the classes into real life, real time and space here in my local community has been like just so amazing, especially because I'm still relatively new here. So I don't know how I started getting on to that, but anyway, here I am in the area doing both.
My next question honestly was going to be like, how would you want someone to like get a hold of you or want to work with you? What would they have to do to get that way?
Sure. So I have an Instagram, Janelle Marra Healing, and I do talk about both of these paths on that Instagram page, so you can get a hold of me there. Though to be perfectly honest, I am not totally great with DM messages, but I'm getting better. So you can easily email me at either Janelle at SoulSway Practice or info@Janelle Marra Healing.
That's awesome. And if they were wanting to go to like virtually your SoulSway classes or in person if they're local to Jacksonville, how would they do that as well? Through your email as well, or is there a different way?
On the website, soulswaypractice.com, we do have all the in-person classes listed as well as everything around our virtual studio. So at SoulSway Practice, you can find us there, also on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a guest here today. And we got to learn a lot more about the why you started your business and also just how powerful both of your businesses really have to your body. So if anyone really wants to connect with Janelle, I'm going to put her information in our show notes. And also don't forget to follow our Instagram, the Why We Started podcast, because her business highlight reel will go out tomorrow and you can see her story being told in a shorter space. But you don't want to miss that. So thank you for listening.